What's up, people? OG Sodda Pop Kid coming to you direct here again with another tutorial. I'll throw these all up on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. Y'all haven't, if you see these come across Facebook, then you know I'm just now throwing them on Facebook. I usually still throw stuff on YouTube first nowadays. Okay? But this one here is going to be about the word called played out. We're going to talk about the word played out. And there's a reason why I'm doing this down here, you know what I mean, with the car here, because it has to do with cars. Okay? But I'm going to go through a little story first about the word played out. So at my age, I'll be 59 in March, right? All my life, I've been hearing the word played out, you know, certain kind of clothing style play out. Certain kind of hairstyle play out, certain kind of car play out, certain dances play out, certain music play out, certain phrases we use play out, okay? And then they end up coming back. Well, this is quoted in the Bible. King Solomon said this in Ecclesiastes, okay? And he was wise. God gave him wisdom. He was in a backslidden state at the time as well, okay? He has said this: what was will be again. What was done will be done again. There's nothing new under the sun. Okay? Whatever goes out of style comes back in style. And it may come back in your kids' generation or their kids' generation, like your grandkids' generation. Everything that goes out of style comes back. That goes for hairstyles, dances, clothes, music. Like, there's no music right now that's out of style. All the old school music, because you got older people that like their old school music or their doo-wop or their old school slow jams. That music will never go out of style. That goes for rap or any of that. You know what I mean? Generation to generation that listen to rap in the 80s and 90s and that, like guys like me, that kind of rap, that stuff never goes out of style because we go back and listen to that and reminisce off stuff like that. Dances come back in style all the time. I always had a feeling that popping and breaking would come back in style, speaking of dances. But me and a lot of the younger generation and some other OGs, we was talking about this. Me and my man OG Megatron from Boston. We had long pop locking conversations. It's just like when me and my car audio guys talk, we talk about car audio all the time. All the time. So me and him talked, you know, I went and picked him up. He was in town. I picked him up way out in Altoona, PA. That's an hour and 47 minutes one way from here. Picked him up and we went to a session last night, man, getting down with other Pittsburgh dancers, crumpers, freestylers, and newer generational poppers. And we went and had a good time. I could say I actually had a good time at this session. You know what I mean? But me and him, we talked all that driving. We talked about dancing, you know, back in the day and all of that. But now popping and breaking is back in style. And granted, I learned it in 81, stopped doing it in 86 because a new style of dancing that came around called hip hop dancing. Well, that's the dancing MC Hammer used to do. I jumped on that bandwagon for a few years, and then, you know, ended up going back to being a rapper. I was a rapper before I even learned how to dance. Back in the early 80s, the way they used to rap back then. All right, and I came back to popping in 1997, so I went into an 11-year retirement. And when I came back to it, I didn't know that it was making its way back, but it was making its way back. I found out later. I got back into it because I missed doing it, and the hip-hop dancers in that time was trying to incorporate waving and tutting into their dance style, which is elements of popping. And that forced me to come back into it because I thought their moves were dirty. And I started coming back into it, and it wasn't, and this was not, September 97, and by December, my fault, by January, February 1998, I come to find out that there was going to be a big competition in Florida called the Pro-Am, and I found out about it. So 5.5 months I went back in the competition and we drove out to Florida. And that was all she wrote after that. I was seeing all these other dancers that were still dancing. Boom. Now the breaking that made it into the Olympics for 2024. Not popping, not just yet, if it even happens. But breaking is in the Olympics. They already got the Americans for the American Olympic team already picked. You know what I mean? I'm not a breaker. I'm not a b-boy. I'm a pop locker. I'm just saying. The dance has come back to the point where, and a lot of those OGs that went over in Europe and taught a lot of them. So there's a lot of them over there. You know what I mean? And I can remember when I was coming back into the game, we were down in Oakland in front of Originals. You know, we were out there doing a little session some years ago, and some females come walking past us going, "Ain't that played out?" This is the problem with Pittsburgh. We're already 5 years behind everybody. I like to say 10 years to be a smartass. We're 5 years behind everybody. Everybody gets everything before us. I mean, granted, my boy Megatron from Boston said that Rhode Island and Connecticut, things get there first before it gets to Boston. People get music, clothes, them long eyelashes and hairstyles, they get that first before we even get it, man. So we're slow. We ain't got no business calling anything played out when we're slow in the first place. So it's played out by the time it get to us, if you want to be technical. And that's just how it is. You know what I mean? We got dancers, we got crumpers and all that, but crumping, I was seeing crumping in 2006. I don't know when it actually started in California, but I was seeing it on videos in 2006 before I knew what it was. And now we're like recently just started getting crumpers and stuff like that. We're slow. We're slow. We should have more poppers and b-boys here like we did back in the day. We're slow. And you still got people that's delusional, caught in the twilight zone, calling something played out. Ain't nothing played out. Everything comes back in style. That's common sense. I'm here to tell you. I've watched hairstyles play out and come back. I've watched clothes play out and come back. I watched dances play out and come back. I've watched different phrases and words we use play out and come back. And I've been in every generation of it happening. I've watched history repeat itself almost 3 times, ladies and gentlemen. And I know some of these 70 and 80-some-year-old people that's older than I am has watched history repeat itself so many times. My eyes is wide open in my age right now. Wide open to whatever's going on in the world. It's wide open now. I have a more understanding about everything that's happening now. When some people is walking around here delusional, like you're caught in the twilight zone, watching Channel Zero. Ain't no such thing as played out, technically, but I'm going to tell you about something that is played out. This is where we're going with this. This is where I'm going. You want to know what's played out? Car audio bashing. That's why I said this had to do with vehicles. Car audio bashing is played way out. Way out. You know, man, I haven't been competing. I started competing in 2002, technically. Really started going in 2003. But I've been in the car audio ever since like 1990, 91. Back when there was single voice coil subwoofers and AB class amplifiers, and there wasn't monoblock amps, there wasn't dual voice coil, 1 ohm, 2 ohm, 4 ohm dual voice coils. There wasn't none of that back then. It was single voice coils. It was Kicker, Rockford Fosgate Punch, Pyramid, POW, Lanzar speakers came around. I remember Kicker didn't even have an amplifier. You know what I mean? They just had the subs and everybody else had amps. Even cheap-ass Pyramid had amplifiers. You know what I mean? And I can remember getting bashed at Audio Communications. Now, we had a few audio shops. We had Audio Communications. We had Powerhouse. We had Yaka Brothers. We had Speed of Sound. We had another place that was in Plum. I forget the name of it. We had all these, all of these auto shops, and I used to love going to audio communications because there was a guy named George Fidel that worked there, and George was a genius. Nowadays, I be seeing his son, George Fidel Jr. He was a baby. He was a newborn baby back then. Now he's 31 years old. He was just down at the event yesterday. He's a DJ and everything. But his dad was a genius. His dad fixes computers now. He don't do car audio no more. Okay, but I learned some things from George in car audio. A lot of you, this car audio guys, that's the guy that actually built John Arabic's truck, that dolly that John Arabic had. George built that all by himself. Took him 3 years to do it. You know what I mean? But now I have had kicker subs. I've had kicker 15s, free air 15s. I had free air 12s. I've had kicker competition subs. I've had acoustic 460 subs. I've had Phoenix Gold amp, a 2125. You know what I mean? I've had a Lanzar subs. I've had power acoustic subs. And when I was running Pyramid, and granted, those speakers was only like $50 a piece. They was like 75 watts each subwoofer with a 4-channel Pyramid amplifier. There's only 75 watts per channel. And it slammed. Okay, and I remember going to audio communications and George was bashing me. He was like, Pyramid, well, you got that junk equipment. That's junk equipment. Now I was like, maybe I can't afford $150 kickers at that time, speakers. And $500 amplifiers. My goodness, the precision power amplifiers, the 1200.2 was $1,200 back then. It was $1 a watt. The A600.2 was $600. I had that before. You know what I mean? I couldn't afford that. You know what I mean at the time. And I was running Pyramid, but it still slammed. So one day, they had this vehicle up there that had 6 kicker comp 15s. And a big ass precision power 1200.2. All right, and something like that would slam. Kicker speakers used to get down in sealed boxes. You can tune them things. If you put them each in 2 cubic foot back, then you would tune them to like 35 hertz. And they sounded like they were in a ported box. They got down, they played low, they hit hard. Okay. I remember pulling up with 4 Pyramid 12s and a wall, and it was 2 boxes stacked on top of each other. And I built a wall and a 4-channel Pyramid amp. And I remember them turning that vehicle on in the parking lot. Then I cranked up my vehicle and I was louder to the ear. And there was this clerk named Brian. He got out there, he was walking back towards the store. I was like, ooh, how is my 412s louder than 615s? And you got a 1200 watt amplifier and I got like a 4-channel amplifier that's only 75 watts per channel. You know what his excuse was? It's because your box is ported. I was like, no, I got junk equipment, remember? It's junk. It's junk. Remember? They was technically bashing my stuff, man, but it turned out that I was louder than they were. Okay, this is where I'm getting. I ran power acoustic. I did 155.4s with 4 power acoustic 15s and Shark amplifiers and acid batteries with 2 alternators. But in a contest, I had to have the doors shut, windows rolled up, and the car was turned completely off. And I still did a 155.4 and the kick. I still did a 154.8 on the glass with the car shut completely off. Okay, I pulled a 160 back in 2018 in state finals when my alternators wasn't working with the car shut completely off. I still did a 160. Okay, and I dealt with cats bashing my equipment and running their mouth. And when I caught them in the lanes, I beat them with their $1,500 subwoofers. You know what I mean? And 2 $2,500 amplifiers. I beat them. Bashers, running their mouth. And a lot of those bashers, you know, they're on these car audio forums and they don't have a system at all. And they're just listening to what everybody's saying and they're going back out and repeating it. And don't even know what the hell they're talking about. You know what I mean? And bashing people's equipment. And there's guys out there with only 2 speakers and 1 speaker. Damn, they're doing 60s or that is doing 60s. You know what I mean? Well, I'm saying all of this because I thought the bashing stuff was over. And so I'm on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, and I have a post up on there. You know, because I got car audio and my dancing up on there. So I got a post up where I had 4 18s, 4 American-based signature series 18s, and I was running them off of 4 VFL 12Ks at the time with AGM batteries. Here we go. Before I had a serpentine belt set up, I had a V belt set up with 4 alternators. I put up a picture on Facebook of that. Okay? I was demoing, you know what I mean, and this female was in the car. Her husband was standing right outside the car that SPL allowed me. And I was demoing for a lot of people that day. And if you tapped out, you did, and if you didn't, you didn't. You know, it was all about how good it sounded, and I was doing like 161.76 dB at the time. All right, and I posted that up, and for some odd reason on YouTube, that had only 49 views for like 2 or 3 years. And then out of nowhere, within a 2-week period, it ended up getting 159,000 views in 2 weeks, out of nowhere. I don't know why it happened, I don't know how it happened. And I was getting a whole lot of good comments, you know, on my channel, but there had to be some haters. There had to be. The haters, they're everywhere. If you're getting good things said about you, here comes the haters all the time. I deal with them all the time. I deal with them in barbering, I deal with them. In dancing, I deal with them. In car audio, I deal with them. In life, I deal with them. You know what I mean? Here comes some haters saying the dumbest stuff, like stuff that didn't even make no sense. Here comes one dude out of nowhere. Your speakers are barely moving. I had a 15 in the box. You know what I mean? It was jumping out the box. I'm like, so what? I was doing a 151, 153. Prove it. I won world champion stock electrical. I was like, that's nothing new. So? I was like, didn't you see me post it? I did 161.78, bro, with the speakers barely moving. You know what I mean? And then I didn't say nothing to him for a week, but I had to get him. I went and fired back at him, and he came right back and was like, want a cookie? You know what I mean? That's played out. Want a cookie? That's played out. That phrase is played out, dude. What do you want a cookie? It ain't even funny no more. Then, I had to get him. I had to get him. I had to get him. Then I go on his channel, and he has only 7 videos on his whole channel, and none of them was car audio related. None of them. I'm like, prove you did these numbers. Prove you won this, dude. Why wouldn't you have that on your channel? If this is what you did. Them videos had nothing to do with car audio, man. I was like, this dude, my thing is this, y'all. You know, I don't know about you other grown-ass men, but how many grown men out there hate when another grown man be in a grown man's business? Why would you even worry about what's in another man's car or what he spends his money on, dude? Why would you worry about what kind of clothes he wears? Why would you worry about what his girlfriend looks like? That's his girlfriend, his wife. Why would you worry about how much money he makes, man? Why would you worry about his job? Why would you worry about his life, man? God gave us a free will, not you. You're not God. I can't stand people with a God complex that plays God, bro. You know what I mean? Why do y'all talk about people and worry about what other people is doing, dude? Don't you got your own life? Don't you got your own kids? Don't you got your own job? Don't you got your own bills? Worry about your own stuff, man. I can't stand a nebby nose, man. I can't stand a rumor spreader. I can't stand a hater, bro. I can't stand a hater, man. I can't stand a jealous, man. I'm telling you, dude. Y'all need to grow up, man, and you know, men worrying about another man's naked. What are you worrying about another man's bill for anyway, man? That's my question. Why? Like, what purpose is it serving? Huh? That's played out. Car audio bashing is played out. You get it all the way out. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.